Hello, this is Jalel. I want to talk about today the differences between Lemurian and Atlantean quartz crystals. Right here are a variety of the two. These ones on the right side are the Lemurians. These are usually indicated by the horizontal striations on the edges of the crystal. You can usually see them. They're pretty obvious when you see them most of the time. And you'll usually, if you meditate and do other kind of spirit work, you can usually get a good vibe from these crystals. They have usually these horizontal striations along every other face, or just a single face. In some cases they vary just depending on where you get them. Some of the different types of Lemurians, though, that you don't see too often are I consider these ones a little bit different because they had different purposes wherever they were from, but they have etchings on the faces as well, if you can see. And the insides have a lot of different patterns and little inclusions in there that normally some Lemurians don't have. Some of them are really transparent. Right here is the biggest Lemurian I have. This one's a multi-use crystal. This one was used for many different reasons, but as you can see, the faces of it aren't all perfectly horizontal striations. Some of them have this etching on there that can't be replicated today. I've heard also a lot of people today say that some of the horizontal ones are fake because you can replicate them rather easily with a grinding wheel. However, these other ones are pretty much impossible to replicate with the grinding wheel that we have today. And on this side, here are some of the Atlantean crystals. You can tell an Atlantean is different than a Lemurian for one reason. You can see that if you look really close to the face of the crystal, you can't see it here, but on the faces right here, you'll see little triangles, and only Atlantean crystals, quartzes, have these. Also, you'll notice on every other side there's horizontal striations, then etchings that look like starseed etchings. But that's how you can tell the difference between an Atlantean and a Lemurian. This one's is also an Atlantean, and you don't see too much of these. People don't really have too much access to these, but you'll find them every now and then. If you go to various rock shops or sometimes metaphysical stores. This one is on a little chain, so I could wear this one if I feel like it. But as you can see, they have every other side has etching, horizontal, and then the faces have triangles. And you'll also notice that the faces usually are a perfect 7 heptagram. You'll notice that they form a perfect 7 symmetry on each of the 3 faces right here. The Lemurians are really different because they don't have really any rhyme or reason to them. They just are more natural crystals. But if you meditate with any of these crystals for a long enough time, sometimes you get visions given to you by dreams. Sometimes you'll just get images in your head. It depends if the crystal really feels like giving anything to you or not, and depending on how hard you've worked on your spirituality and just your intuition and your inner guidance. It all depends. Every person's different, and every person may get a different thing depending on who they are and what their connection to these crystals may be. If anyone is interested in crystal work, I really recommend it though for meditation, just because it really helps you develop on your own. It helps, for healing. Just depending on what your intention goes into these crystals, you can amplify your intentions. So, just remember to have an open heart and a pure mind when you're working with any crystals, because they do absorb energy, and especially emotional energy. People don't realize this, but emotional energy is the main energy that crystals will hold on. You'll notice this if you ever are upset or angry and you hold a crystal and you're letting that anger touch that crystal. Anyone else who will touch that crystal later on will usually get angry or upset just like you were. So it's really necessary to purify your crystals after any use or any exposure to negativity, especially if you wear them a lot. I highly recommend purifying them, just because most crystals are very sensitive to emotional damage and emotional energies. And just in the same way, you can program them with love or light, but it's up to you. Alright, I'm glad I could give anybody some information if they didn't know anything. Thank you, and I'll see you again.